The 9th Provincial Conference of the Northwest is currently on. We have dealt with issues that Comrade Obed did indicate earlier, that we are going to put forward a letter from the Treasurer General on behalf of the Secretary General's office for conference to consider. Conference has now adopted that letter, which effectively sets out how we are going to move going forward. With me, it's a Comrade Obed Mapela, the convener of the Northwest. It's a Comrade Genge Kekana, is an NEC deployee in the Northwest. It's a Comrade Kenny Morolong, is an IPC member and a spokesperson in the province. So I'm going to hand over to Comrade Obed to speak broadly on principles that are outlined in the letter, and then hand over to Comrade Genge to clarify some of the issues that were before conference. And then from there, I will open the floor for questions. I don't want to cause problems for Kenny. It's good being with us here. So over to you, Comrade Obed.
Can we not use that? It's causing an echo.
Yeah. Or if we put it here, is it?
I think let's just put it on the side.
No, please don't use it. We can hear you.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was just traditional procurement to deal with challenges.
Good evening. Once more, thanks for being available as we give you updates. The letter from the Treasurer General, acting as the Secretary General, Comrade Paul Mashatile, was read and presented in the plenary. And it's a new norm, I must say, and as I indicated to the conference too, the first it was used in the previous conferences was in Gauteng, when they were facing a court matter, Eastern Cape also where they were facing court matter, and then also in Mpumalanga. So we call it the letter of the statement by the Paul Mashatile. It deals with whatever might be issues that ends up in court or are pending in court. And then we were reacting to the court order of yesterday in the Mahikeng court. And in it, then it is also giving a response on the adherence of the ANC on court. I must say it was overwhelmingly welcomed by the delegates. There was a lot of applause on it, but obviously there were points of clarity and questions about avoiding any litigation as we proceed with the conference. And in avoidance of that particular litigations, the IPC, as cited in court, 20 votes are withdrawn from the conference, and those votes will not be used by anybody, and then therefore all the members who are cited in that court order, their status in the conference is non-voting delegates. So the 20 votes will just remain as vacant, and then therefore no one is going to be issued with them, but it's still a subject matter, because when we deal with the credentials, there are arguments that are maybe distribute them to branches, maybe distribute them to the leagues, but we'll discuss that matter conclusively. But at the level of the discussion, we have agreed that we have withdrawn those votes. The second withdrawal of votes is from the regions who were allocated 8 votes each region. And in the Northwest, we have 4 regions. It's 8 times 4, it gives you 32. So those votes are also withdrawn from the conference. So the totality then gives you 52. 52 votes are withdrawn from the conference. When the ballot papers are going to be prepared, there will be minus 52, because those votes are not going to be participating. and therefore it's in line with the court order, though the regions were not mentioned in the court order, but we were then advised by the legal team of the ANC that we must just include the withdrawal of, so that we don't put votes in quarantine. We didn't want that to arise here, and then or those votes then be contested by somebody in court, and we therefore say let's have a clean environment and then withdraw the votes. So we have 52 votes then therefore that have been withdrawn. And then the IRC members, also their status have been converted into non-voting delegates. They are participants in the conference and then so forth. And also the letter from the Treasurer General was given the powers of running the conference to the NEC employees who are here, reinforced even by others. So we are over 16 members of the NEC that are in the conference doing certain roles and functions in the credentials. Comrade Nombuda Mgonyane is there. Myself and Comrade Malusi are chairing. I'm the chair, and then Malusi is the deputy chair. And until such time that the top 5 is elected, and then they will then assume their responsibility as we hand over, but still continue supporting them with other work of the conference in the commissions and so forth. We are done with the opening session, which we have seen it, and I think the mood of the conference is there. And but the debates were quite useful, fruitful, engageable, and we're able to deal with them. And then I think everybody is satisfied with the explanation, and therefore the conference is continuing. And then we had the letter will be circulated to all of you. We just gave it to Comrade Ule because he knows your contacts and he knows how he will then distribute the letter to you so that we can use it as we are going to do the story. We will continue with the sessions after dinner, which will then be dealing with the adoption of the rules and adoptions of the conference agenda and then the credentials, and then so that then the election group will then come in after those adoptions for the nomination of the top 5. Obviously, they've opened the box. They will then indicate who is qualified as a candidate at that point late in the evening, having gone through the credentials, which sometimes might take a process. However, there's new lessons learned that Northwest also wants to beat KwaZulu-Natal, that adopted credentials in 15 minutes. And we hope, but if people want to debate, who want to talk, we'll still allow them, we'll not suppress, and answer all the questions necessary, so that we could then have the nominations before delegates can go and sleep, so that voting can begin, and then as they go and sleep, they vote and go and sleep. Those who want to wait for the results will wait, but the results will be in the early hours or in the morning, and then when we come back in the morning, we'll converge, get the results, and then people will then further nominate for additions. Then we'll go to the commissions, and until such time that the conference is able to conclude its business by the end of the day. But the letter, I think, is self-explaining, and then it will be able to then help you in the story.
No, thank you very much, Bra Ops. Before I hand over to Comrade Ngenge, just to confirm, members of the media, you now are efficiency. You have already received the letter. As you were reading, they were already reading it. That's our level of efficiency. So you can proceed, Comrade Ngenge.
No, okay. I think just a quick one is that, although we started late and it was necessary to do so because we needed to tick every box to ensure that this conference is orderly. What we're experiencing here is that branches of the ANC are determined to elect a new leadership. They are not going to go home without electing a new leadership here, because they've been interim structures for a long, long time. So the letter that you have seen says that the RPC's business ends as after the court case. So all the structures that are running this conference here are structures as per 17.1 of the Constitution of the ANC. The NEC is taking the overall guidance in the absence of the provincial structure. It was a provincial structure, although the court case did not go that far in saying that remove them from conference. It only said non-voting. But we thought that it is better, for the sake of this conference, to proceed, for us to take control of this conference, and of course delegate members of the ANC that are here, sitting roles and responsibilities. So when we adopt the program, you will see that people are not mentioned according to offices. They will be mentioned according to the role that they are playing on the day of conference. But we'll explain that further when we are dealing with conference. I must say that, you know, and we can take questions, but I must say that the mood is very, very positive inside conference itself from the delegates. The engagement is robust, and I think they were yearning for this conference to sit as branches of the ANC in the Northwest. And of course, we'll continue the business of conference, and all other matters will be resolved. We might be, you know, as members of the public, and any member of the ANC might, individuals might go to court, but we are guided by the constitution of the ANC. If it gets interpreted in whatever way, we'll further clarify it as we go to national conference. But for now, the conference is in order, it is running, and we as the NEC deployees, plus the reinforcement, are in charge of this conference, and the delegates, the branches are happy about that.
No, thanks, Comrade Nkenke. I thought that would also just clarify the issue of the 10%, that the 90%, yes, because it's an issue that came out in plenary, so it's important that we place it out there so that there is no misinterpretation.
Okay. The issue of, you know, the constitution of the ANC, we're saying to delegates that is a living document. It has evolved over many, many conferences. In the previous constitutions before that of Nazareth, the formulation that was in the constitutions of the ANC was talking about at least 10% of voting delegates. No, it's not, it's a, yeah, let me just read it to you so that you, and this is a material matter because of some of the debates that you are going to be, they are going to be entertained, but we'll deal with them when we deal with the credentials. It's a matter of if 90% that is here, let's say whatever number, if it's a total of 1,000 delegates, at least 90%, that is what the constitution says. So if it's 1,000 delegates, and I'm using that number just to illustrate, it's not the true number here. If it is 1,000 delegates, total delegates, voting delegates in a conference, 900 of those will come for branches, right? But the constitution says at least, so it could be 920, 916 and so on. The remaining voting delegates will come from the regions, in as far as the province is concerned, from the regions, from the leagues, the 3 leagues. And those are our voting delegates. In the past, the constitution of the ANC used to say the remaining 10%. And in Nazareth, and when this matter was debated, we removed 10% So what is now before this conference, in as far as the leagues are concerned and the regions, because the regions are removed, it does not matter whether the regions are removed and the IPC is removed. The allocation of the delegation from the leagues, it is as per our constitution, and our constitution on this question gives the power to the PEC, but in the absence of the PEC, the NEC will then give that allocation. And it is a matter which, when we deal with credentials, will further clarify, but it is a matter that was raised in the conference itself.
Maybe just to help you also with the numbers. We have 700 delegates. As to all of them arriving, the credentials will then confirm, but allocated delegates from branches is 700. Then we have 18 that constitute the 10% he speaks of. The 700 is 90%. And then the 18 is Youth League, Women's League, Veterans League. Their votes are not affected. They will be participating as delegates. And that issue has been confirmed also as present, but not credential, but because of the letter. And then the branches that are in good standing in the whole of Northwest is 316 out of 403 wards. So we are almost in every ward, just short of to make it 316. And the threshold was just 282 for you to go to a conference. And this is what we've been all along building branches so that they can get up to 282. But the branches that have qualified is 300. The other 16 branches, they tried their BGMs, they couldn't succeed, and until the cut-off time. But 300 branches made it, and that is where we get this delegate of 700. And then therefore, when the credentials matter comes, it will also help you in understanding at that time. Thank you.
No, thanks, Ops. Like I said to members of the media earlier, this is a demonstration of the hard work done by NEC employees here in the Northwest, working together with the IPC. Comrade Robert told us a story earlier that in the past they had a serious parallelism here. Going to the 54th National Conference, there were about 33 parallel branches coming from the Northwest. Here in this conference, we don't have a parallel branch. It would just have been branches that struggled to really convene as expected. Nkenge has already clarified the issue of the 90% and what happens, especially with the leagues and all of that. So what we did was to allow the leagues to maintain the numbers that were previously allocated to them by the IPC, so that we do not alter credentials that must be presented to plenary. That point has been fully ventilated and clarified by ourselves, and the conference has accepted our explanation and adopted this report. We can open the floor for questions. I was saying to Bra Ops that maybe we come back to questions after adoption of credentials, but Shemi feels that maybe you want to file or something. You can open, you can just... But so that we can also go have your dinner. If there are questions that members of the media want clarity on.
Yes, Mawanda from the Sunday Times. And you said in the previous briefing on the other case you had not been served. Have you been served this time around? Also, on the issue of excluding the IRCs without any binding order by any court to do so, what does that say about the ANC running its operations based on anticipation? And was it in anticipation of what the other case that I just spoke about may be arguing in terms of what it seeks to achieve? Yeah, let me start there.
That's fine. I'm going to invite Comrade Ops to answer. But just to remind you, because Comrade Ops clarified this point earlier on, he spoke about the mandate of the IRCs having been expired. And seeing that we have become such a litigious organization, you didn't want to play into that kind of a trap. Do it and then somebody comes. So the reason why the IPC, the reason why the judgment was arrived at, when the judge motivated their argument, they said, in part is because their mandate had expired. And Comrade Robert clarified this in the morning. So I just felt that, Comrade Robert, I must just repeat what you said, because sometimes I did notes, so it's possible that people might have missed out this important point. But you can deal with the other issues.
No, we have since been informed that there's a court pending. And I'm not sure the jurisdiction this time, because I was chairing, and then I got told that I needed to phone the Treasurer General to talk about the matter. So there's a court pending. It might be sitting at 10 o'clock if time and day the judge is available. And I'm not going to go into the merits because I do not know what are the arguments the litigants now want. But the ANC will defend, and they are busy preparing. And so let's wait for those processes to continue, but the conference is not stopped, so we're going. And then we'll see what will be the outcome, whether they are going to be listening or it might be postponed to Monday, I do not know. So, but let's leave it there. I think you can make your own follow-ups on it.
That's maybe the assurance we need to give to members of the media, perhaps, is that as we break for dinner now, we'll also just touch base with our legal counsel and just understand our level of and what are the issues, so that if there are things that we might want to just, we'll come back to yourselves. But we will keep in touch. Amos is here. He will be issuing the necessary updates. So we'll then just advise that members of the media, stick around, because if we achieve the adoption of credentials, today's thing, at that point we'll then invite the Electoral Commission, and that will be an open session. So I'm telling you this because we had an issue in one of the provinces where nominations were open and members of the media weren't made aware of all of that. So for logistics and for better planning, stick around so that when that part opens, because it's an open session of conference, you are able to then convey that to our members and supporters out there who are taking keen interest on the outcomes of this conference and what is happening here. Okay.
Hello, Bahari News of Africa. Of course, you just clarified the question I wanted to ask about what are the issues in court. So we'll wait for you to go to your legal counsel so that you give us an update as well. I think it is important. But what I want to understand now, since the IPC will not be playing a further role, who will be giving the organizational report, who will be giving the political report as far as this is concerned. I may have missed it maybe, but I want to understand now we're going to be presenting. Although the NEC is taking over, but I'm sure as the employees of the NEC, you may bring us into how the operations of the African National Congress is when you're going to give a political report.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, our departure point is the constitution of the ANC. Now that we are guiding the conference itself, we are going to put before conference a program, an amended program, because the previous program that you might have talked about a political report presented by IPC coordinator, IPC this and that. So, because the IP is not there and we've taken over, us as the NEC guiding this conference can delegate any individual that is within that conference to deliver the political report and the organizational report and the financial report. So whoever is going to be delivering that particular report or the three reports, it will be a person who's delegated by us. So it will be the name of a person, not an office. But we will be in order in this conference if we present a political report and an organizational report and a financial report. We have to do that. We will be in order in as far as that is concerned. So we'll cross that bridge when we reach it, because the program must still be adopted by conference, and we are going to be making particular amendments to that program and tabling it for conference itself.
Sure, that clarifies your question. You can also just, to amplify it further, just go and read 12.2.4 of the ANC Constitution. It does enjoin us to do what Comrade Nkenge said we can do. So we are acting within parameters of the supreme law of the African National Congress.
But maybe just as a follow-up, the people who wrote those reports are most likely going to be the ones to present. Maybe, for instance, the organizational report will most likely be presented by from Chauke as someone who will be running the organization. Like not as an IPC member, but as someone who is in the conference. Would I be wrong to assume that?
No, it is possible, but remember, the program must still be adopted. So we haven't tabled the program itself. So when it is adopted, right, with our suggestions, at that time we'll tell you. Everything else is draft. If something has leaked to you,
we just have our heads around this issue. I'm just adding time as well. So if that is the case, as you're saying, if those are the people, but you say here, the IPC members will play no further role going forward in this.
No. Let's read the letter carefully. See, because these days there are legal issues in it, right? Okay. I'll read that section. You've got it, right?
Yeah.
You now where is that?
On the way forward. It's on that section.
Yeah, on the way forward, right? Okay. Yeah, on the way forward. Let's read. The Northwest IPC will not play any further role going forward as a structure. Yeah.
It's members.
Yeah.
That's agency for you. That's agency for you.
These members can. I think Comrade Nkenge has clarified.
Yeah, no.
As a structure, they are not.
Yeah.
I mean, like Gondana, Nkenge is a living example of that.
Yeah.
When we write
Because they are members in good standing as individuals,
Of the
and they are
ANC.
still members of the ANC.
Thank you.
And let's also say that, remember the order, the court order, and we're abiding by it, right? But the full judgment, we are still waiting for it, so that we understand and so on. But being a constitutional democracy, we respect the courts, and it's very, very encouraging that the ANC is receiving so much attention in the courts. I don't know of any other organization that receives so much attention in the courts, in as far as this constitution is concerned.
And they are live.
And they are alive. Thank you. But,
It will really be the last time.
yeah, the last.
Just one clarity. So the IPC members, former IPC, they are here, right? And they are part of the.
No, let's correct it. They are IPC members. That the IPC is not going to be playing any role, it does not renege from the fact that they are IPC members. There's going to be an item here when credentials are adopted where we now have to formally dissolve the IPC. The letter from the Treasurer General speaks about them not playing any further role as a structure. It doesn't talk about disbanding them because we do not have those powers. It is this conference, unless the National Executive Committee had taken that decision to disband the IPC, then we would have said so. But nowhere in our own articulation and clarities were provided to yourselves have we spoken about disbanding the structure. What we did was to usurp those powers of playing a role in the conference. If there are individual members of the IPC that we apportion or assign to perform a role, that will be done by NEC deployees who are duly empowered by Rule 12 of the ANC Constitution to do the kind of work that we are doing here. I'm sure I've clarified you unless there's still something.
And also, I think look at 17.2.2.4 on non-voting delegates. So there might be members of the ANC who possess particular skills or knowledge or attributes, right, who will be invited as non-voting delegates. So this is not a conference of only voting delegates. There are non-voting delegates who will participate. So we might, as well as the NEC, identify those comrades as former IPC members or IPC members. And we say to them, you possess certain knowledge regarding, this branch and that branch, and therefore you can play a role in this conference. And that is what we've taken a decision on. They are playing a role, and they will be delegated as individuals because they are non-voting delegates. They are delegates of this conference, but non-voting.
Message to chiefs.
Message to chiefs.
I'm wounded. I really agree. I'm very wounded and wounded.